The Israeli government has got in touch with me to screen Dhurandhar in Israel.
No way!
Yeah, Dhurandhar first, which became the highest box office of all time, and now Dhurandhar second, which is in less than 3 days, 400 CR. Uri is where, Aditya Dhar's, claim to fame began. Although he had 20 years of hard work behind him, there was this slogan also in that, how's the Josh? Hi, sir.
How's the Josh? Hi, sir. How's the Josh? Hi, sir.
That became like a national anthem all across India. He himself is so involved. He's so involved, he's involved to the level of dialogues.
Right.
He writes dialogues, he writes lyrics, he writes screenplay, he directs, he knows the cinematography of this entire thing. So he has this passion which drives him. That is the most amazing part about him, and he's so down to earth. What Aditya has done, he has brought in a paradigm shift in Indian cinema. After COVID, after the pandemic, people had stopped going to cinema halls. They were consuming entertainment content from Netflix, from Amazon, from Hotstar, Jio, etc. But now people are willing to go. People are actually willing to go twice, thrice to watch the same film.
But at what stage were you brought in, and how do you assure the accuracy and the authenticity of, because the movie is inspired by true events, right? So how do you ensure all of that?
So that's my job. We were brought in just when the concept came in and the research was underway to deeply study, what all has happened over the years, be it terrorism emanating from Pakistan, terror groups working in Pakistan, gangs operating from Karachi, how there might be some foreign countries trying to infiltrate that particular gang and, taking revenge. For me, I've been a victim of terrorism from Jammu and Kashmir, so that's one part of it. Aditya has been a victim of terrorism. He's a Kashmiri Pandit as well. So he has faced it. He has seen it from his own eyes. And secondly, now, over the last 18 years, I have reported on terrorism. I've reported from Kashmir. I've reported on Pakistan, Afghanistan, etc. So I've studied it in greater detail. I am a patriotic Indian. If I have a problem, I will question the government. During the pandemic, I raised a lot of questions against the government that this should have happened this way.
Right.
And, these were the problems that government did not consider, etc. In a democracy, you have a right to question the government. After Pulwama, we had Balakot. Before that, we had the Uri terror attack. And then we had a counter in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, a surgical strike. And most recently, Operation Sindoor. Phenomenal. What has happened also? People also say, we are losing information war and this and that. I don't believe that. I think we are very well settled. What message we had to convey in preemptive strikes or whatever limited strikes we did, I think it was phenomenal. Militarily speaking, diplomatically speaking, and politically speaking. My only response to those people who attack Durandhar is that look at the public reaction.
बढ़िया मूवी थी
मजा आया बहुत मजा आया
जी
किਵੇਂ ਰਹੀ
ਵਧੀਆ ਜੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਵਧੀਆ ਫਿਲਮ ਹੈ ਬਹੁਤ ਅੱਛਾ ਹੈ
If you cannot sense the pulse of the people, then God help you. Somebody in Pakistan decided to run a disinformation campaign against me. So there was a Pakistani website that did a story saying that Aditya Raj Kaul, an Indian journalist, has leaked the location of Netanyahu. And Iran has done a strike on Netanyahu and Netanyahu has been killed.
Today, we meet the man who made sure Dhurandhar got it right. So today, we are with one of the research consultants for Dhurandhar and Dhurandhar The Revenge. And he also happens to be the senior executive editor at MDTV, the one and only Aditya Raj Kaul, my Kashmiri Pandit brother. And he's also a returning guest who is currently in Israel. How are you feeling today?
Well, thanks, Ravital. Always a pleasure to interact with you. And I'm feeling great. This is my 5th visit to Israel. And although I'm missing all the action of Durandhar back home, but hopefully I'll be back home soon and I'll catch up on it.
Well, congratulations. I have to be honest, I'm late to the party. I only watched part 1 yesterday.
Yeah.
I wasn't mentally ready. Just to give people context, I was here when October 7th happened, and it feels very close to home when it happened. Whatever terrorist attacks have happened on India, because I'm born and raised in India and then I moved to Israel. So I wasn't mentally prepared, but then yesterday I was like, you know what? This is my chance. I need to watch it. I watched it, and today I'm sitting with you, having a conversation, just stuck in Israel. But let's talk about Dhurandhar for a second. What does it mean to be a research consultant? It seems like you do research and then tell the director what to do, and that's it. Can you get deep into it and tell us what exactly have you done?
Firstly, I'll acknowledge that the entire vision, the entire project, the entire baby of Dhurandhar is completely credit to Aditya Dhar. I mean, he's been a friend for a very long time. The moment that he made Uri I was in Bombay. I remember many years ago. I was driving. I was working on a story when he called me out of the blue, and he asked me if I could help him get in touch with the Indian Army. And he was working on some film. He didn't give any more details, but he said it's on Indian Army. So I just shared a contact with him. That's about it, and connected him with the Indian Army. And a year later, he texted me and said that I made something, and I hope you will love it. And that film was Uri. That came out. And then at the Army Chief's residence, he introduced me to the entire star cast of the film. And that was amazing. Uri did a huge magic in the industry. And I think, there was this slogan also in that, how's the Josh? Hi, sir.
How's the Josh? Hi, sir. How's the Josh? Hi, sir.
That became like a national anthem all across India. So Uri is where, Aditya Dhar's, claim to fame began. Although he had 20 years of hard work behind him. And soon after, he worked on Article 370. So he took me as a consultant for Article 370 because, when the Article 370 abrogation happened, I was advising the government on, how things are in Kashmir and what needs to be done. Mm-hmm. So then I made a documentary in March 22. In fact, I'll just briefly tell you, I got a call from my source in India, and then I corroborated it in Pakistan, saying that a person called Zahur Mistry has been. In fact, the name given to me was not Zahur Mistry, but something else that he used. And they told me that this person has been killed in Karachi, so why don't you check? This might be interesting for you. And it took me 2 to 3 days to verify it, because I called my journalist friends in Pakistan, who later confirmed to me that a person called Zahur Mistry had been, but they were not sure who he is, because the administration in Pakistan, which is the army, had asked them not to cover this, not to report this. Although I found one news link.
Do you know why?
Well, everybody knows why, because in media in Pakistan is, controlled in a massive manner, and they're not, if there is something aligned with the army or the ISI, they're not asked to report that.
I see.
So I checked again, and then I found out, to my shock, that Zahur Mistry was one of the hijackers of IC-814, which happened 25 years ago, and in which one Indian person was. The flight was taken from Kathmandu to Amritsar to Dubai to finally Kandahar. And after days of stalemate, and NSA Ajit Doval was one of the negotiators at that time, we had to release 3 terrorists, 3 dreaded terrorists. Mm-hmm. One of them was Masood Azhar. And Masood Azhar later formed the Jaish-e-Mohammed in a place called Balakot, which also we struck, our Indian Air Force struck a few years ago after Pulwama. And all these 3 terrorists became a huge challenge for India and for entire South Asia, because you'd remember Daniel Pearl, a Jewish journalist, was also brutally. His video of his was, released by a terrorist called Omar. And that Omar terrorist was also released by India at that time because of the negotiation. So Mushtaq Latram, Omar and Masood Azhar became a huge challenge for India during that time. And Zahur Mistry was one of the terrorists, one of the youngest ones who was in that aircraft at that time. And we obviously couldn't catch him. But years later, and I often say this, that NSA Ajit Doval at that time would be perhaps in his 50s or something like that. And something would have, I've obviously had a lot of conversations with him, but I wonder, he would have been thinking that if I had 24 hours more, or if I had 48 hours more, I would have done something to protect Indian citizens and also not let these 3 terrorists get released. Because these 3 terrorists became the reason for the biggest terror attacks in India. Be it the Parliament terror attack, which happened, be it the JMK Assembly attack, be it Pulwama, be it Pathankot, different terror attacks that have happened in the last 2 decades were thanks to these dreaded Pakistani terrorists. So I made a documentary on Zahur Mistry when I came to know that he's the person who was. And across the media, whoever I spoke to in Pakistan said they were unknown gunmen. Nobody knows who killed them. 2 people came on a bike. This guy took a photograph of his dead body and just left. So I had a photograph of the dead body that I had got from a source, and I had his old photograph. We corroborated that. There was a scientific, test, etc. done, and we found out that that guy who was killed was Zahur Mistry, and he was working as a furniture shop owner, as a carpenter.
So he basically went back to his civilian life.
Exactly. So Pakistan Army, the ISI, had given him a cover of working as a furniture, shop owner in Karachi. And so I made that documentary, and that documentary was like an investigation done from India and Pakistan, what happened, how it happened. And Aditya saw that documentary and my breaking news, because a lot of Indian media, quoted me when they covered this story. And he said, boss, we need to do this. Yeah. We need to make this. This is one of the finest things that have happened, and people don't know about it. There's a lot of mystery around it.
Right.
So we decided that why not make this film? And he was already working on something, on a spy thriller, etc.
Okay.
And he was studying it at a massive scale. So he has a team, but he himself is so involved. He's so involved, he's involved to the level of dialogues.
Right.
He writes dialogues, he writes lyrics, he writes screenplay, he directs, he knows the cinematography of this entire thing. So he has this passion which drives him. That is the most amazing part about him, and he's so down to earth. So that's how this project began more than 3 years ago. And here we are, Dhurandhar first, which became the highest box office of all time, and now Durandar second, which is in less than 3 days, 400 CR, which is unthinkable in Indian cinema. And what I will say, Ravital, is that what Aditya has done, he has brought in a paradigm shift in Indian cinema. After COVID, after the pandemic, people had stopped going to cinema halls. They were consuming entertainment content from Netflix, from Amazon, from Hotstar, Geo, etc. But now people are willing to go. People are actually willing to go twice, thrice to watch the same film. And mind you, the first film was 3.5 hours long.
Correct.
This one is 4 hours long, which is unthinkable perhaps in Hollywood.
Yeah.
But here people are willing to watch it. Now, it's not just about nationalistic content, etc., that some people might be uncomfortable with.
Correct.
This is reality. This is a mystery that has been shrouded in 4 years together, which we are trying to unravel. Fiction, yes, but inspired by real events.
I read a lot of news, seeing a lot of people from the Gulf actually flying into India to watch the movie.
Absolutely. I have friends. I have friends who were so frustrated that across the GCC countries, across UAE, across the Gulf, West Asia, we unfortunately didn't have this film getting released. I don't know why, but some people tell me that, the content is against Pakistan, so it might lead to some diplomatic problems between these countries and Pakistan, so they avoid it.
I see.
They're not against the film as such, but they just want to avoid the controversy.
I see.
Yeah.
I see. At what stage of filmmaking were you brought in? Was it like pre-production? Was it still like in the research stage? Because I know there's a lot of... I personally loved the movie. Like I was at the edge of the seat and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm in Israel. So the second part has not been released yet. In theaters, of course, there's a Warrior or it's not on Netflix yet because it released like 3 days ago. But at what stage were you brought in? And how do you assure the accuracy and the authenticity of... Because the movie is inspired by true events, right? So how do you ensure all of that?
So that's my job. That's my job. And there was another, research consultant with me. That was our job. So we were brought in just when the concept came in and the research was underway to deeply study, what all has happened over the years, be it terrorism emanating from Pakistan, terror groups working in Pakistan, gangs operating from Karachi, how there might be some foreign countries trying to infiltrate that particular gang and, taking revenge. And apart from that, counterfeit currency, events that have happened like a criminal gangster like Atiq Ahmed, who was demonetization that happened, and a lot of attacks in the last 3 decades that have happened. Now, for me, I have been a victim of terrorism from Jammu and Kashmir. So that's one part of it. Aditya has been a victim of terrorism. He's a Kashmiri Pandit as well. So he has faced it. He has seen it from his own eyes. And secondly, now, over the last 18 years, I have reported on terrorism. I have reported from Kashmir. I have reported on Pakistan, Afghanistan, etc. So I've studied it in greater detail, from attacks from Pulwama to Uri to the latest Pathankot. I have studied this. I was, in fact, the first journalist to not just break Pahalgam terror attack, but also break the Operation Sindoor that happened midnight, during 6th and 7th May last year. So we have to obviously study in detail, refer to official sources to verify if this had happened, if primarily I was, in touch with some primary sources, etc., to verify what happened, etc., to go through media clippings of years together, to study videos, etc., reportage that has happened 25 years ago. And during that times, there were not many news channels.
I was going to say, yeah.
So it is difficult, but we ensured that. And perhaps to get in touch with some sources, within the agencies and within the corridors that cannot be named.
Right.
That I've been doing. I cover intelligence agencies very closely. I cover security agencies, army, paramilitary very, very closely. So that helps immensely. And that helped during Operation Sindoor as well, drifting away from Dhurandhar for a bit. But, at that time, I was continuously tweeting 24/7. And I got more than 3 lakh followers during that 10 or 15 days, only because people trusted me and people thought that I am an authentic source. So I was not doing jingoism for India, etc. But I was reporting facts about terrorism and how India is responding on it.
So for all the young Indians who want to be aspiring, could be senior executive editors or an authentic source of such information, because it's crucial, right? Because some people say, oh, like this is propaganda. We'll come to that. But what would you say to aspiring people who want to work for India in this capacity? What would you like to tell them?
Not much. I mean, it doesn't take any rocket science or a PhD degree from Harvard to, make up your mind. You need to be passionate and you need to have courage of having a conviction. If you have that conviction in life, if you're passionate, if you have that determination, you can make it happen. I think passion does it all, honestly. If you have your mind, on anything, it's not about journalism, it's not about war reportage or conflict. It's about Aditya Dhar as well. I mean, look at him. I mean, he is not from Bollywood families. He has come from Delhi. He has struggled hard for years together. And on his own merit and hard work, he has achieved what he is achieving today. And I still hear murmurs, during the Durandhar first phase, there was a particular faction within the Bollywood which was really upset and outraged that why are we not involved? Why is this not from a big production house, etc., etc. And people were not supporting him. And people were silent. So that's how Bollywood is. There is a syndicate that works, not just in Bollywood, but overall. There's an ecosystem.
Right.
There's an echo chamber as well. So what they do is that, this is an outsider. So we will not support him. Let him do what he wants to. And he has done it. He has proven his mettle. So that's what I will tell people, that, I am a patriotic Indian. If I have a problem, I will question the government. During the pandemic, I raised a lot of questions against the government that this should have happened this way.
Right.
And, these were the problems that government did not consider, etc. In a democracy, you have a right to question the government. Absolutely. But you also have a right to praise or provide things factually if they have happened. Just as we are doing in Durandhar. If there is a concern of Pakistan-sponsored Islamist terrorism, we will raise concern. Now, there was a panelist recently, we had a debate on it, a lady actor from Mumbai who said that, no, you're trying to show brutality and violence and I can't say violence. So don't watch it. I mean, you are in a free country. We're not forcing you to watch it. Don't watch the film. Now, this brutality is not brutality done by India. This is not a human rights violation done by India. This is Pakistan-sponsored terrorism for last 4 decades in Jammu and Kashmir and the rest of India that we are highlighting. These are well-documented terror attacks and these are well-documented operations done by India continuously over the years. After Pulwama, we had Balakot. Before that, we had the Uri terror attack. And then we had a counter in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, a surgical strike. And most recently, Operation Sindoor, were phenomenal. What has happened also? People also say, we are losing information war and this and that. I don't believe that. I think we are very well settled. What message we had to convey in preemptive strikes or whatever limited strikes we did, I think it was phenomenal. Militarily speaking, diplomatically speaking, and politically speaking. When surgical strikes happened and when Balakot happened, people said, video kahan hai? Why don't you have video? They wanted army persons to, carry guns and videos to actually show them all. And this time around, when Operation Sindoor happened, what changed, Rabatal? The one thing that changed was that we were striking deep inside Pakistan, deep inside Punjab of Pakistan, or in the backyard of Asim Munir, the Pakistan army chief, and Pakistanis were clicking videos and showing it to the entire world. It was not the army, it was not the air force, it was not the military of India. It was common people in Pakistan, in Rawalpindi, in Lahore, in Karachi, in Islamabad, shooting videos and saying, we are scared. India is shooting at us. Oh my God, what will happen? Allah save us. These were the kind of videos that were coming out. Now, can Pakistan now say, this is propaganda, this is disinformation? This is the reality for the first time, authenticated by the common people, saying that Operation Sindoor has been not just successful, but we have been decimated. Pakistan has been decimated completely. So they got a strong response. But also, lastly, Pakistan won't change. We might make Dhurandhar, Dhurandhar 2, Dhurandhar 3, Dhurandhar 4, but Pakistan is not going to change. We might do Operation Sindoor and Operation Sindoor 2, but the reality is in their DNA, their entire existence of their foreign policy or domestic policy is on India. If they don't attack India, if the army does not focus on India, nobody will say that they are relevant. They will not get the same respect. If you do a survey of the Pakistan army before and after Pahalgam terror attack, you will see they were losing respect. They were losing national consensus completely before Pahalgam. Once Pahalgam happened, they again united the nation. So Pakistan Army does this deliberately. Whenever in their backyard in Balochistan, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, there are attacks happening, people are rebelling for freedom from the Pakistani occupation, they try to do a Pahalgam or a Pulwama to completely shift international focus towards Kashmir.
I honestly feel like India and Israel, both, I'm talking from both aspects because I'm an Indian Jew again, born and raised in India, now living in Israel. What I see between both countries is that we are now on offense. I think we should do more offense than defense because I think we, both Indians and Israelis, are sick of being attacked and constantly thinking that we are going to lose the information war. But it is about survival now. And if we don't do anything right now, it is eventually going to be very bad for both countries. So I strongly support the attacks of India on Pakistan and all the terrorists. I mean, we need to take revenge. I loved, you said there were two popular lines from the movie that I really liked. You mentioned one from Ori, but the two lines that I liked from Dhurandhar, one was, "Ghayal ho, isliye ghatak ho."
घायल हूँ इसलिए घातक हूँ.
Absolutely, yes.
And the second one was, "Naya India," right? "Naya India, हम घर में घुसकर मारेंगे."
बिल्कुल.
और ये करना ज़रूरी है because अभी नहीं किया तो ये कभी नहीं हो पाएगा. Indians have been the most accommodative, but there have been instances that people have walked all over India. What would you like to say to people who say this is a propaganda movie?
First, before I come to the propaganda part, since you mentioned Israel, one thing that I absolutely love about your country, Israel, is that whenever there's a terror attack, whenever there is a question being raised on the sovereignty or the territorial integrity of Israel, there is national unity. There is no opposition leader coming and saying, what is this? What is the government doing? This is nonsense. Show us evidence. This is not done, in India. We see that repeatedly. Now, again, I'll emphasize, the right of the opposition is to criticize, question the government, take them to task. Absolutely should be done. Like Lapid does here,
Yes.
Netanyahu. And Rahul Gandhi tries to do it, with Prime Minister Modi. But the question is, whenever there is a terror attack, there needs to be national unity. Whenever there is a terror attack against innocent Indians, there have to be all political parties aligned and stand together. Now, I met Lapid at one of the kibbutz when I went to northern Israel. And I asked him that, what do you feel about the war with Iran and, what's
This was
happening?
quite recently.
Just few days back.
Okay.
And what do you think about, because we were just 1.5 kilometers away from the northern border and we could hear gunfire. So he said, absolutely, I support the government and we have to completely annihilate Hezbollah from Lebanon and the Iranian regime, in his words. So that is the thing that I absolutely love, that whenever your state is under attack and there is a terror attack, and when people say that our mission is to annihilate the Jews and from river to the sea, Palestine will be free, and they don't realize that you are not looking for a political solution. You're not looking for a dialogue where a political solution can be arrived at. You are instead saying that we will kill the last of the Jews and we will completely wipe you out and then we'll create our own territory. Now, what is happening with Pakistan? Pakistan is doing the same. Before Pahalgam, there was a video of Asim Munir that went viral where he said, these are Hindus who are attacking us. These are Hindus and we have to lead a jihad against these Hindus. This is the kind of terminology that came in. Now, their focus, look at the location of Israel. They're surrounded by Islamic countries, but they have great ties with many of them, UAE, Saudi, in many other countries as well. In fact, I have heard that after the recent attacks, now governments may deny this, but I'll tell you, I have heard that when UAE came under attack and they did not have any alarm systems, etc., they were in a crisis mode, and perhaps the rulers in UAE would have never, even in their imagination or dreams, thought that this will happen someday. And they reached out to Israel for the emergency mechanism support.
The alerts?
How the alerts could be done and what kind of alerts, how and when could it happen.
Really?
I have heard that. UAE government or the Israel government can confirm that, but that's what I've heard. And if that kind of an alignment is happening right now, that clearly means that Abraham Accords have gone too far in a positive direction. And perhaps after the war is over, there could be an alignment with Saudi and several other countries, because what Iran has also done, I'll say that India has great ties with Iran and Israel, and that will continue. And we have condemned the attacks that happened in the school in Minab Elementary School, and the energy infrastructure that's being attacked, because when such attacks happen, it doesn't concern only Iran or Israel or US. It is the global community that suffers. There are many Indians who have died also in this war, mostly seafarers.
Yes.
So my question here is that you can't say that we'll wipe you out completely, your community, your religion, etc., and then expect no response. So on terrorism, I think we are aligned with Israel when it comes to counter-terrorism efforts, it comes to intelligence sharing, when it comes to strategic partnership, technology, innovation, agriculture and water, 100%. So I think we've come a long way. As I said, this is my 5th visit. The first one was in 2015 when I accompanied President Pranab Mukherjee to this country. And I have, in the last 11 to 12 years, seen a phenomenal change, how things have been different. I'll also tell you that during that time, almost 10 years ago, I'll not name the person, but a senior diplomat of Israel, I tried to ask him a question on Pakistan. And he stood up and he started screaming at me that, how dare you ask a question on Pakistan with me? And this is not done. And so this was 10 years ago, where a senior diplomat was upset because he didn't want to intervene in this kind of a scenario, just like India wouldn't want to intervene in Hamas, Gaza, etc. So he didn't want to speak on it. So he was on that kind of a corner. 10 years later, now there is Reuven Azar, who is the ambassador. And I've interviewed him multiple times. Last time I interviewed him, I asked him that, are you comfortable with Pakistan Army as a part of the international stabilization force that comes into play in Gaza? And he said, no, we do not want Pakistan Army to be part of the international stabilization force, and we will oppose it tooth and nail to the US. This is the kind of change that has happened. India and Israel are on the same page when it comes to counter-terrorism. We have great ties with Iran. We have traditional historic ties with Iran. I think that go back to decades and decades together. In many ways, we eat the same kind of food as well in many parts of the country. And I think from India's standpoint, the stand that we have taken is absolutely right. We say that there should be de-escalation. There needs to be peace that needs to be restored. And war cannot be there forever. You have to ultimately come on the dialogue table and you have to pursue peace in the larger interest of the people. So that's how it should be. On the propaganda part that you told me, I think every time you do something in national interest, especially when it concerns security of your nation, etc., there will be these people who will say this is propaganda, ye to kuch bhi nahi hai, ye aise hai, ye to hua hi nahi tha. Like a couple of days ago, I was on a panel discussion on my channel with somebody, a lady actor, and she said that, there's this very famous Major Mohit Sharma who was in the Indian Army. His photos, videos, his bravery is very viral. And there was somebody spread this rumor that this film Dhurandhar is based on Major Mohit Sharma. So she tried to counter me saying that, Major Mohit Sharma was working in Pakistan and this and that. And I said, boss, you don't even know the basic facts. Indian Army does not operate in Pakistan. Indian Army operates on Indian soil. Indian Army works in Kashmir and in other parts of the country. And Major Mohit Sharma was also in North Kashmir, where he sacrificed his life for the country. The film is not based on Major Mohit Sharma. Film is based on a spy or a covert operation leader who was in Pakistan. The film is based on reality. It's based on facts. It's inspired by reality. And if you are not comfortable with it, don't watch it.
Yeah.
I don't think that any person who's involved with the film has anything to do with BJP, RSS or the Modi government. Wouldn't have even met any political leaders for this film. But, such attacks will happen.
Yeah.
My only response to those people who attack Durandhar is that look at the public reaction. If you cannot sense the pulse of the people, then God help you.
Yeah,
I
agree. 100%.
If you're a politician or if you're anybody with any ideology on a subject of national security, you should unite. Now you might say, no, you're praising Modi, you're doing this. We're presenting facts. Demonetization happened. Now this is not a documentary on demonetization that we show that people were suffering, etc. I suffered myself. No, I was also standing in that queue, etc.
I think everybody was.
Everybody was.
Definitely.
Now, this is on counter-terrorism. So we will say why did demonetization was required. There was a lot of black money. There was a lot of fake currency. There was counterfeit currency used for terrorism purposes. Now you say, you show the killing of Atiq Ahmed. Now, Atiq Ahmed was a criminal gangster. He confessed to having links with Pakistan. He confessed to having links with Lashkar-e-Toiba. He's not a saint. So who are you trying to protect? In my capacity as a researcher, I try to factually correct all these things. We went through the entire storyboard, and I think Aditya has done a phenomenal job. All this criticism is part of the story. Last time when this criticism happened from people I don't want to name, I think it gave a great publicity to the film.
I was going to say, I mean, all talk is good talk.
Yeah, because, Aditya has also done something very different, which many people in India don't like. He has not done any PR campaigns or publicity stunts or publicity for this film, which is rare.
I was going to say, I didn't see any media talks before the release of the first one. And this.
I have done interviews, although I don't cover entertainment. But when there is a subject of national security, etc., some filmmakers come to TV studios, etc., and they want me to interview them because I understand the subject. So I've done countless interviews. My other entertainment editors all across have done dozens and hundreds of such interviews, countless times. But for this, there was no major events that happened. There was no major premiere that happened, red carpet premiere, etc. There were no media interviews that happened. You haven't seen Ranveer Singh or Aditya Dhar or others in media studios, coming for interviews. They want the people to respond. People have responded. I think the entire Bharatvarsh has spoken, and we thank them. We are delighted that you are loving the film.
I really had to say, I was like, yesterday, I was like, oh my gosh, why didn't I see this before? But I think I always talk about great timing. I also want to talk about because you were two of you as research consultants on the team.
Yeah.
Would you like to throw some spotlight on the second person, who I believe is Dibya S?
Yeah.
I'm
glad you noticed. Because nobody seems to have noticed Dibya with me.
Yeah.
But yes, there is one more person, Dibya, who is an integral part of the research team. And I thank him for his service for this very, very critical and important project. Hopefully, in some time in future, he will come out in public and speak, and people can, interview him. But for reasons of security and sensitivity involved, he has not come out. But he is a very, very critical and integral part of the filmmaking process, just like unknown men are for the killings that are happening in Pakistan.
I see. Well, Dibya S, if you're listening to this episode, I want to give you a hats off, because I think clearly it's a team effort.
Absolutely.
And hopefully I could get to meet you in person. But coming to Dhurandhar 2, a lot of people tagged me in their stories, because there's a part at the end of the video where they see an Israeli man, a Jewish man, because he's visibly Jewish, wears a kippah. I haven't watched the movie, but I wouldn't mind if you give me a spoiler.
Oh, no, people are killing me. I've from the very beginning, last 3 days, I've been continuously putting out, whatever stories people are sharing and tagging me. So I'm putting across, and people are abusing me. Don't put spoilers. Don't do this for us. We are blocking you on Instagram. This is not done. So I will not give any spoilers.
Oh my God.
I would want people to watch it. But yes, a part of what you said is there, and there are a lot of twists and turns in the film. If you assess me, people are loving Ranveer Singh.
Yeah.
People obviously have loved Akshay Khanna. I think this is a rebirth of Akshay Khanna in many ways, who I have always admired. He's amazing. And of course, R. Madhavan. I mean, R. Madhavan is quite a person when he, acts in that Ajit Doval case.
Yeah.
He actually has studied the profile, and he's bang on Ajit Doval. And of course, there are others like Arjun Rampal, who, in that ISI role that he is in, he's amazing. But for me, honestly, the best actor in the film is Rakesh Bedi. Rakesh Bedi, who I've watched since my childhood. He was part of this serial called Shriman Srimati that used to come many, many years ago, and people used to be glued on it. And he also has reinvented himself. He had a small role in one of the previous films that Aditya did, but in this one, the character that he has is ultimate. He's a comedian, ace comedian of India, but in this film, the kind of natural comedy that comes in, and in many of the things he has improvised himself.
Really?
He has told him that, let me do this way, and that has clicked, and people are loving it. And there are many twists and turns that come in the film, but Rakesh Bedi's twist and turn that comes at the end, and people are like, what? Really? So I won't give any spoilers, but people will love the film.
Well, I love the fact that you dodged this question, but let me ask you this in a different way.
Yeah.
I know India and Israel have had ties way, way before, as we see it in the movie as well, but where do you see, I know a lot of people ask me as an Indian Israeli saying that, especially Israelis ask me, like, India is friends with Arab countries and it's also friends with Israel.
Yeah.
Like, what is it doing? Why is it doing? Why isn't it siding with anybody? And I'm like, India, in my opinion, it took India a while to be its own person because we went through a lot of challenges, be it through colonialism or Mughal invasion and stuff like that. Took a long time. It also took time because the leadership had to change.
Yeah.
But India is going to do what works best in their interest. But the India-Israel relationship is not hush-hush anymore. India publicly claims that it is good friends with Israel. So where do you see India-Israel ties going in the next decade?
Well, on your question of, entertainment, first I'll come to that. The series Fauda.
Yes.
So I think Fauda has been the biggest hit in India.
There is an Indian adaptation as well.
There is, and that has been, directed and produced by one of my friends, Kapil Mattu. He's done an amazing job in that series. But on Fauda, I'll tell you, I've been in touch with two of the actors, Zaki and Ronali Shimon. And last year, I got an opportunity to host Ronali Shimon in Mumbai. And that was phenomenal. She was expecting, and yet she came along with her mother. And that meant a lot. So as a parting gift, I gave her a statue of Goddess Durga because, I told her that this will bless the child that you'll have. So I think Fauda has been a phenomenal success, and Fauda also met Prime Minister Narendra Modi recently.
I know.
And you were there too.
What is it? What just happened? It's not undercover anymore. I mean,
So India and Israel are coming together. People are also loving that other series called Tehran, which is on Apple TV. Earlier there was Homeland that was loved. But anyway, so sticking to India and Israel, I think there is a lot that can happen. The last Consul General, Kobe, who was in Mumbai, I think did phenomenal in not just interacting with Bollywood, but trying to bring them here and shoot here and do many projects in collaboration. I think there have been some filmmakers who have been very, very interested. Even Saki from, Fauda, who came to India, and I think he's working on some film with some Indian director or producer. So I think a lot can happen. A lot will happen. Here also I've been interacting with the political leadership, and they want the film industry to explore Israel for shoot location, etc. And they're ready to offer whatever can be done from the government perspective. So I think a lot can happen. A lot will happen in the coming days. So yeah.
That's awesome. And my last and the final question is, I've read a lot of news and people jokingly say that you're probably, because you're in Israel, you're working on Dhurandhar Part 3. What do you have to say about that?
Well, you never know. Because Durand first was expected as a single film. Then the screenplay was scripted in such a manner, and Aditya goes through very intricate details from scripting to the storyboards, etc. And he has a wonderful team. He has an AD called Ojas Gautam, who is Yami Gautam's brother.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he's amazing.
What's in the family, huh?
He works 24/7. Ojas has been like a driving force for this entire film, and he's done amazing. I know Monal also, who's in the writing team and, has been working on it. So I think you never know if a Durandhar 3 comes or a different kind of a film comes, because this is a kind of a genre now which Aditya has, led. And this is a new kind of a cinema. I would call it a global cinema from India. Because it's not just Indians who are loving it. From US to UK to Australia, people are loving it all across. I mean, if it's not in Middle East, I would say it is the loss of Middle East that people are
missing out.
People are forced to either come to India to watch it in a cinema hall or actually watch it, the pirated copy. I've had people messaging from UAE, first writing, apologies Aditya for this message, but I really wanted to text you. I just watched Dhurandhar sitting here in Dubai on a pirated, version that came in. I'm sorry, I had no other option, but loved it. Congratulations. It was superb, amazing. Similarly, and you'd be surprised, Pakistan, a senior journalist in the Jung group of Pakistan, Khalid, he texted me from his living room, a photograph, a video of Durandhar playing on his channel, on his television. And that's a pirated copy. And that was on the day when Durandhar released in India.
No
19th
way.
of March. Yes.
That's crazy.
And it has been reported, once I tweeted that video from Khalid, it's been all across the Indian media. So in Pakistan, people, the radicals, the army, the government may oppose Indian cinema, ban it, etc. But the reality is the Pakistanis cannot live without Indian cinema, Indian music, Indian songs, Indian food. So that's how it is. I mean, Durandar has been doing amazing in the piracy market as well, which I don't encourage. But in Pakistan, that's how it is.
I see.
And you never know. I think Aditya Dhar is on this kind of a speedboat right now. So I think, and the best part about him is that he comes from a very normal, middle-class Kashmiri Pandit family. And he's very down to earth. Normally, if you would have seen at Starcade, etc., he would have bodyguards all across and, roaming around in Mercedes and, Bentleys and all, and then giving interviews all across, going on trips all across. But he is grounded to such a level. It's simply amazing. It's just, I think he's enjoying it with his family. And that's what matters for him, to provide a new kind of cinema to the world, to prove that we can also provide global cinema from India. I think he will inspire hundreds and thousands of Indians in different categories, not just becoming a director or a producer. And I think his B62 Studios, which has provided such amazing films, and now Dhurandhar, is now among the top producers of India. And just imagine, if he has created Durandar, what else is he capable to create?
Well, we're all waiting because I'm like, okay, what do you have next in line to show? So congratulations to the entire team, to Aditya Dhar, to you and to your fellow research consultant, and to all the actors who have acted in the movie. I'm in Israel, but I am a proud Indian at the end of the day, and I can't wait to recommend this movie to Israelis because I think they'll absolutely love it. And I think they'll also relate because we have similar challenges. There's actually something else that came to mind, which I would like to cover, the 26/11 attacks. I saw the screen go red with black text on it. There were conversations recorded between the terrorist handlers and the hostages.
Yeah.
I would like to shed spotlight on the Chabad house attack, right, where the rabbi and his wife were killed, but his child was actually saved by his Indian nanny. Would you be able to, because I know there were actual recordings of the terrorist and the nanny, and he told her to keep her mouth shut, otherwise, she would not live another day to, experience Shabbat. Would you be able to give some more details on what exactly went down?
Yeah, absolutely. I've reported on this. 26/11 has been one of the most brutal chapters of terrorism in India. It was launched by the Pakistani terror group Lashkar-e-Toiba, led by Hafiz Saeed and Lakhvi. And there were several of these terrorists that came through sea to Mumbai in 2008. And they attacked the Taj Hotel. They attacked, prominent places in Kolaba and the CST terminal and several other locations across South Mumbai. Their basic agenda was to do maximum killings and create a kind of a fear psychosis and drive attention to whatever they wanted. So, but they're also at a cover. So they were wearing these Hindu, threads, red threads that we wear to showcase that, maybe it's an internal kind of a terror attack. And that's how there was a huge debate in India also that were these Pakistani terrorists or what was happening. So they were trying to cover. Also, what happened was that Chabad House, the main Jewish place in Mumbai, came under attack, and there were several people who were killed out there. The NSG did a massive operation to ultimately kill the terrorists. But later, we came to know the audio recordings that came in. So in Pakistan, there were two people, Sajid Mir, Lakhvi, and also Major Iqbal from the ISI. They were in touch directly with the terrorists. What was also happening is that they were monitoring Indian news channels closely, who were showing live Chabad House and saying that, the NSG is here, the police is here, do this, do that. So Sajid Mir and others were directing the terrorists to kill all the Jews. There is an audio recording where, the direction comes that kill them. So there were voices begging to save, not to kill, etc. But immediately Sajid Mir orders in that phone call in the most brutal fashion that kill these guys immediately. But NSG did a fantastic operation. I have interviewed, in fact, the commander of the NSG who was leading that operation. He's in Delhi and now retired. But I think that was a phenomenal operation, even though there were a lot of questions on the speed with which the government reacted at that time. Could have been much, much, much better. In one case, they were waiting for the Home Minister to come in Delhi so that the NSG could fly to Mumbai. They shouldn't have waited for him. But yes, this was one of the most brutal chapters, and this has been narrated in Dhurandhar. It was important because at that time also there was discussion in the Indian government that we could strike Muridke, which is the headquarters of Lashkar-e-Toiba in Pakistan. But no attack was done. The former NSA of that time, Shiv Shankar Menon, writes in his book that it was a political decision. We had option from the military and the intelligence to strike Muridke, but the government of that day took a call, the Congress government, that we will not go ahead with the attack because this will ruin the relations between India and Pakistan. So that's how it is. Now we are living in a different world, which is very important. We have to be offensive. We can't, just sit every time there's a terror attack. There has to be a response that has to be given. I face threats regularly, but doesn't matter.
I was going to say, for somebody who's been on media for the longest time and who openly, unapologetically speaks his mind, it can be dangerous sometimes, but...
Yeah, it's dangerous, but how long will you stay silent?
Also that.
What maximum will they do? They will kill me. That's okay, but at least I'll die, narrating the truth. So the reality of the matter is that, terrorism led to exodus of my family from Kashmir. My family lost, my community lost our homeland forever. I do not know when my community will get the chance to return to Kashmir. So home is gone already. We are living in exile in our own homeland. Yeah. So I don't care. I will speak the truth on terrorism, etc. The moment I came here and I reported on Netanyahu, and I was the first Indian journalist to actually catch Netanyahu at Bet Shemesh.
I was going to say, you were on point because you was at the scene where the ballistic missile was hit.
Yeah. So I was coming from interviewing the foreign minister, Sar. I was doing an interview with him at the foreign ministry. So I came in and my local journalist told me that we can go to Bet Shemesh. It's just 10 minutes away. So I said, yes, why not? Because there was a huge brutal attack that had happened.
Yes.
And 9 people had died and more than 40 injured. So the moment we reached there was a lot of security out there, which was unusual. So the Israeli journalist told me that never happens this way.
Yeah.
They're doing such a massive checking. And then while I was recording my walkthrough from there, suddenly we saw Netanyahu right behind us doing a review of the entire place. So he spoke to the Hebrew media first. And then I butted in and said that, would you speak? I'm an Indian journalist. He refused. And he walked away. And just before he was about to board his car and walk towards his car, I screamed again that at least speak on your conversation with your friend Prime Minister Modi that you had. So he heard Modi. So he came back and he spoke to me for 2 minutes where he said that, he had a phone call with Modi. He discussed the regional situation. And he said that we appreciate and love India for the kind of support Prime Minister Modi has given. And he said that people in Israel absolutely love and respect people in India. So immediately after that, around 7-8 days later, somebody in Pakistan decided to run a disinformation campaign against me. So there was a Pakistani website that did a story saying that Aditya Raj Kaul, an Indian journalist, has leaked the location of Netanyahu. And Iran has done a strike for Netanyahu and Netanyahu has been killed. This is how this entire rumor of Netanyahu's, alleged killing or assassination happened.
Is he dead or alive? Started from there?
Alive. So my video went viral all across. Some Iranian, like Tasneem news agency in Iran, ran my video saying that I'm an Israeli journalist who leaked the location of Netanyahu and he was killed.
Well, you do look Israeli, so.
Yeah, that happens a lot. Funnily, when I come to Israel, people start speaking to me in Hebrew.
In Hebrew.
When I am in UAE, they start to me speaking in the local language.
Yeah.
And when I was in Armenia recently, they again started speaking. So that happens. Maybe it helps.
But you blend in everywhere.
But as I said, I think I told you last time as well. The first time I went to Iraq via Jordan, and I was only 24 at that time. So the only lines that I had learned Arabic was, I hope I pronounce it right now, La tutlik ana sahafi. That means, don't shoot, I'm a journalist.
Oh my God.
Lifesaver. So I got Netanyahu, this rumor was spread. And when Netanyahu then came in and gave a video, etc., so it got busted. Then they ran a campaign saying that Aditya Raj Kaul has been arrested by the Mossad because he leaked the location of Netanyahu. So across Pakistani media, across Iranian media, I am told somewhere in Europe also, because Reuters came in touch with me to interview me on what had happened. And in India also, who know me, are spreading this hatred and this fake information. So I think we are in war situation here in the Middle East, but disinformation and propaganda is the biggest war right now because people simply believe it. I have family members from across the world texting me, have you been arrested? What's wrong? What happened? Why did you leak the location? I'm like, boss, I was not even doing live reportage from there. I recorded something which I sent to office an hour later and it was played an hour later. But that's the reality of propaganda that happens all across. And here also, people are simply not able to believe that Netanyahu is alive. They are still saying that all these are AI videos, even though he came for a press conference in front of the international media, where I was invited as well. They say, no, these are AI videos. He has 6 fingers and his coffee is not spilling and this and that. All rubbish.
Well, Aditya, thank you for debunking everything and for being on the ground, because it has really been hard for Israel to speak their truth. So when we have journalists like you on the ground telling the truth, especially the Indian media, because I know Indian mainstream, like super mainstream media, can be a little bit problematic in terms of how information gets fed to people.
Yeah.
So thank you for being on the ground. I know you're stuck, but you've been doing your best.
I'm not stuck anymore. So I was stuck immediately because when I reached the airport, immediately at that time, there was sirens.
I saw your story because
I immediately made that video.
Yes, I remember.
My presence of mind, I made that video. And we were the first to go live all across because I got information that attacks have happened on Iran and then the sirens buzzed. So we were live continuously. But immediately after that, I decided that I have to stay. I could have probably gone to Jordan or Egypt and left. But I've been here for 27 days and I love it. I mean, Indians are loved in Israel. Israelis are loved in India. Some people may be uncomfortable with it. That's their business. But lastly, I'll give you breaking news.
Okay, I'm ready.
The Israeli government has got in touch with me to screen Dhurandhar in Israel.
No way.
Yeah, so they want me to help out in this entire process. And I have some Indians as well who are really keen for this to happen. Now, it cannot happen immediately, unfortunately, because there's a war.
Yeah.
And there is, of course, a rule here that more than 50 people cannot be at a single place. And I think the theaters are shut as well.
Yeah.
As per the Home Front Command instructions. But hopefully in future, fingers crossed,
But
Durandhar in Israel.
Oh my gosh, is there a way where I can get involved in the entire process?
Why not? Of course.
Okay, let's talk this off camera. But thank you for giving us this breaking news. I think this is the perfect end to this episode. For everybody who tuned in, thank you so much. I think I had the perfect opportunity to interview somebody from the Dhurandhar team and also a very dear friend and brother. But thank you once again. I hope you reach India safe and sound. And in the meantime, stay safe, watch the right content, and I'll see you next time.
Thank you, Ravital. Jai Hind. Ami Israel Khai.
I'm Israel Khai and Jai Bharat.